Organization whose sole purpose is to inspire and equip the next generation of aviators. We achieve this by offering educational aviation seminars and tours to high school students. Our media channel, we provide our audience with relevant information on aviation filled through panel discussions, interviews with aviation professionals. We offer high school students the Junior Aviator course to broaden their understanding of aviation as well as increase their chances of getting into top aviation schools. We also offer Aviation Refresher and Advanced course on aviation topics. All our courses are carefully designed by aviation experts with international aviation qualifications in a wide range of aviation disciplines. The courses are designed to equip aviators with modern and relevant skills applicable in today's aviation world. Inspire, equip, empower, Flight Wings Aviation.
Greetings, everyone. Good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, depending on whatever time zone you're watching us on. Welcome to the Big Sky, a show where we get to explore the unlimited possibilities of aviation. And I'm quite excited. Every Thursday, this is the gig. This is what we do. I get to have animated discussions with the aviation community. So I want to welcome you guys back into another week. And yes, in our comment section, feel free to tell us where you're watching us from. And also, if you have any questions, please do ask them in the comment section. And if you're new to this page, kindly subscribe, like, share, and do whatever is cool. And as well, if you're new as well, we are the Big Sky, which is brought to you by Flight Wings Aviation, which is an education consultancy in terms of aviation. And we go by the three mantra, equip, inspire, and empower. We handle workshops, we handle aviation courses, and everything amazing in terms of the aviation community. So feel free to get to know us more by typing Flight Wings Aviation Global, and you will see our website over there. And I am the host of this show. My name is Isaac Yami. So like always, I'm always excited. Aviation Thursdays all the way. And as usual, I think you can see from the screen that I have a guest to my, I think it's to my, is that my right side or to you, whatever side it is, there's a guest on the stream already, and it is Miss Kayla Milue. I got that one right.
No, it's Mel. It's all right.
It's Mel.
People are always getting my surname messed up, but I'm so used to it by now. But yeah, it's Milne.
Oh, Mel. Okay, because you mentioned how it's of Scottish origin, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll just call you Ma'am Kayla then.
Just
for the course of the
Kayla,
evening,
yeah.
I'll just call you Ma'am Kayla then. It's quite exciting having you on the show. We're quite honored,
very
as
excited.
always, having the aviation community on this show.
Yeah.
So basically, I'll give you this opportunity to say hi to our viewers, and we break a little bit of ice, and you tell them who you are, but just a concise introduction before we get into the nitty gritty of tonight's show, basically. So I'm handing it over to you. Who's Kayla? Say hi to our viewers.
So So, hello everyone. I'm Kayla. I'm 20 years old and I'm a private pilot in South Africa, getting ready for my contest within the next few weeks. So, exciting stuff lined up.
Wow, that was concise.
You said concise.
That's very concise, but it's exactly what it is because I don't want you to empty a lot of things because there's so much to
Yeah,
get to know you
yeah.
about, Kayla. So who and then you mentioned who you are generally. So
Hmm.
let's start with who how did you get to where you are right now? Like your inside your educational background and how you got to be where you are generally. Let's start from what did you do in school? Who inspired you? Let's get over that. Let's talk about
So
that.
I grew up around aviation. My aunt had a pilot's license, and from a young age, I was around aircraft. So she was definitely one of my biggest influences into this career. Um, yeah, I took geography, science, maths, and accounting in high school. And geography, science, and maths have definitely been some of the subjects that I've used the most throughout my exams, especially like the science and the maths. The geography comes in a little bit with meteorology and flight planning, just knowing how to read the maps and stuff. But science, I was actually shocked at how much science comes into aviation. So definitely glad that I took that subject and maths as well. Even though the maths in aviation is pretty basic, I still have no regrets about taking maths. So yeah.
Wow. Did you just say the math is basic? I mean,
Well,
math is like a
it's not
phobia. You know, math is like
it's
a
not
phobia
like
to so many
geometry, it's
people.
not like intense algebra, but it's, I mean, we do a little bit of trigonometry when we have to calculate where we're going and stuff like that. But majority of the stuff we can do on our calculators. It's not like we ever really have a missing variable. So yeah, the maths is definitely easier than matric maths was.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you pointed out as well because there is this certain cloud when it comes to aviation. Maybe to other people, like maybe it's something that's unattainable. You have to be an Einstein to do it, and
You
there's certain things that
definitely
people.
don't. And
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
certain things.
you don't even need to take like geography, maths, and science. You can literally take any subject combination and be a pilot.
But then obviously the advantages of do taking other courses like um, geography and math. I mean, there are advantages as you said, but as well,
There
it's
are,
not
yeah.
like you're stuck, and if you do not do certain things
No,
in
definitely not. And
yeah.
I mean, the books and the question banks and stuff, they go into so much detail with explanations and such, so that you can, even if you didn't take those subjects, you can pass your exams.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your aunt was in aviation, and
Yeah.
how did it really spark? I mean, like the thought of you being a pilot generally. Like,
So
do you
I
remember
was
when?
I was in high school and I made the decision I want to be an air traffic controller. And I went to Rand Tower. My mom organized everything for me. I went to Rand Tower, I met the controllers, and I was like, whoa, I love this. And then they said to me that to be an ATC, you need to hold a private pilot's license. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went and I started my PPL, and yeah, I fell in love with flying. So yeah, I haven't looked back at the ATC dream, but yeah, now all I want to do is fly. I absolutely love every second of it.
Wow, wow. And how does it feel to be around a family that is aviation grounded? Like, do you feel very comfortable in home, or there's a pressure as well, like to excel at a very certain level and so
No,
forth?
I feel super comfortable, and it's nice because there is support from people who understand what you're going through. Because this com thing is not easy, so it's nice to have people who do understand.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. So in your bio, like when I was preparing for this,
Mm.
there is your grandpa, like all of
Yeah.
these. I mean, the whole family, and even your boyfriend. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is heavy. This is heavy inspiration and everything. So
Yeah.
to people who probably do not have this kind of support, like what's the difference? I
Mm.
mean, probably you might not know the other side, but what difference does it make when your whole family is into what you love to do? Like, can you give us an experience of that?
I mean, I'm just going to use my boyfriend as an example. His family, none of them are really into aviation and pilots and stuff. And he's had the support, but they don't understand how hard it is. So I definitely think my family, they've understood a little bit more that it's not easy. And if you don't hit your PPL on 45 hours, it's not the end of the world sort of situation. So
Oh,
it's just been the support, but I really feel that everyone, even if their families aren't in aviation, their families will still support them regardless because this is hard.
interesting. I like then the experience of you being in both worlds, because as you said, like you have your family over here, and then you
Yeah.
have your boyfriend having lesser support. And how do you give advice to people who are in this situation where um they're not much supported in this field?
You know what? There's a lot of incredible people in the aviation field that you can just talk to. I mean, I've got some of the most incredible instructors at Johannesburg Flying Academy. They have supported me throughout everything. So I definitely think that if you're looking for support, go and speak to your instructors. Your instructors are there, they will help you and they will support you. And also, you can make friends within the aviation industry with other students. Like some of my best friends are people who are busy with their PPLs and CPLs. So definitely talk to your instructors, talk to the people in the industry with you, and yeah, you'll get the support you need.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a support structure is really essential for whatever you do in life, basically, including
Yeah.
aviation as well. So, like, how's been your journey so far? Like, um, take us through I mean, your first time at the flying school and all of these things. Take us through that journey, and let's start with the challenges, and then we finish off with the victorious moments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the challenges, these exams are insane, and the CIA has such a high standard. South Africa has some of the best pilots in the world, and it's because the CIA has such a high standard. I mean, consistently hitting 75% to pass an exam is hard. So that's definitely been the biggest challenge for me is passing those exams, and I've passed all of them. So now I can focus on getting my com and getting it complete. But yeah, those exams are definitely really challenging, and challenging time management with university and flying and exams and family and everything. It's a big challenge. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I've absolutely loved every single second of my aviation journey.
Hmm. Have you had any moments where um, not necessarily rethinking what you're doing, but then have to go back and recalibrate and straighten yourself up and say, you know what, focus, you can do this. Do you have any moments where they're not doubtful moments, but I feel like maybe they're moments where they were heavier than other moments? Do you have any moments like that?
I have had I don't want to go into too much detail, but ended up having brake failure and ending up in the grass with my aircraft, and it scared me. It scared me properly, and I was like, "Oh my god, what has just happened?" And for a little while afterwards, I didn't want to get back in a plane. But you know what? I picked myself up, I dusted myself back off, got back in that aircraft, and continued flying because aviation is my passion. So chasing that dream outweighs all of the doubts.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And I'm glad you go over there, and also like the reason why I shortly bring this up is as people were struggling as well, because life is a bit difficult sometimes,
Yeah.
and then sometimes when you do struggle, and then when you see people who then succeed, and you just think, okay, maybe I wasn't made for this. But the honest truth is, we all go through some certain level of I don't know, I don't want to say crashing down, but basically levels that will challenge us even more.
Yeah.
But not dwelling much on the challenges, let's talk about the wins. Like
Yeah.
the wins, like how did it feel with the first solo flight? Let's go through all of
Oh,
these major moments where it reassured you that this is it, this is what we're doing, and
yeah.
hell yeah, I'm doing this. Take me to any moment that you remember, and it reconfirmed that
Oh, yeah,
Kayla is a
there's a
pilot.
lot of moments throughout, I mean, anyone's aviation journey that I think are just those moments where you're like, wow. And I mean, my first solo was probably one of my favorite memories. I very vividly remember taxiing to the holding point singing I went to the danger zone from Top Gun. And then taking off, doing my circuit, coming back, the whole flight school celebrated. You get the water thrown on you by your instructors.
Oh,
You
so is
get
this
your
a
one
crazy
bar put on
thing?
your shoulder. It's honestly so exciting. And the next incredible moments is getting back from passing your PPL test, and they taking photos and they present you with your 2 bars and your wings. It's just, yeah, they really good moments. And even that moment, I know it's going to sound silly, but that moment when I was done all my exams, when I held that certificate that said I'm done, like that moment, it was like this relief, like, oh, I can focus on other things now instead of just studying all the time. But yeah, definitely good memories.
Oh, awesome. You mentioned something about university, and
Mm,
I do assume that you're currently doing something apart from you just doing aviation. Take us through
yeah.
the university experience, and how you're balancing all of this, and what are you studying right now?
So I'm doing a BCom in transport and logistics, specializing specifically in aviation management. It's hard work, and time management is a massive thing. Like, I have to be on top of my assignments all the time, making sure that I'm submitting things before deadlines if I know that I've got a flight that day or I'm doing something else. So it's a lot of balancing everything. And I mean, even this morning, I was up at like 6 o'clock out of the house, going for a flight at 7, got back home, immediately doing assignments because I've got assignments due tomorrow and the next day. And then for 2 o'clock this afternoon, I was back at the airport for a briefing and for simulator time. So I've been on the go since like 6 o'clock this morning. I only like stopped at just before this interview to like relax.
Wow. how do
Yeah.
you how do you do that? Like, how do you how do you handle both sides? And why the need to study what you studied? Isn't being a pilot just enough? Like, take us through why this is essential for
So
you to study
yeah.
logistics, especially in aviation.
So I got advice from an ex Kalula pilot. She said to me that the best thing I can do for myself is make sure that I have a backup in case anything ever happens to me. So I lose my medical, I can't fly, something happens. And I mean, even with the COVID now, having that backup would have been amazing for a lot of pilots. Even now, I speak to a couple ex Mango pilots, and they all say that they wish that they'd done a university degree sooner because they don't have jobs at the moment. And at least if they had that university degree, they could have found a job within the aviation sector or somewhere else. So being a pilot is my dream. That's what I want to do. I want to fly, but that university degree is my backup in case anything ever happens to me.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So what kind of opportunities are we looking at? Like, if you do, when you do complete the BCom, like, what kind
Yeah.
of upgrade is it giving you, also in addition to your commercial pilot license? Take us through,
You know,
like, what are the benefits, and yeah.
I think it just makes me slightly more employable, and it also shows like I worked hard. So yeah, I just think it's that side of it.
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to sense if Hint, hint. Are we looking at having our own airline in the future? Are we thinking in that
I
regard?
don't think so.
You already studying something like logistics. I mean, basically, which is what it is. I mean, do you have any ideas of expanding in that way? Like, what's your seemingly end goal? Not like really flying into the future too much, but let's
Mm,
bring it to this type of close future.
I
Do you have
honestly
any?
don't. I don't have an end goal with my degree. My degree is more just to better myself and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have an end goal with my degree. My flying career is what I want to focus on and excel in.
No, so what's the dream? What's the dream with your flying career? Where do we think we're gonna go, and where do we intend to go?
My ultimate dream is to fly for Trans-Maldivian Airlines, flying seaplanes. That's what I want to do. I'd love to fly like bush plane charter sort of situations. Those PC-12s are sexy planes, so that's a dream sort of charter seaplane situation.
Hmm, interesting. And talking about you trying to you intending and planning to go beyond and beyond. Let's talk about what you're flying right now. Let's talk about your ride. I mean, there's something that's very peculiar about you. Like, you are spending so much time um, with an aircraft at home, and it's your dad's aircraft. But I
Yeah.
mean, what's your dad in possession is basically yours as well, and it's the
It's
RV9.
still my dad's aircraft. He pays for it, not me. I'm very, very lucky that I get to fly her.
How? Let's talk. Why did he buy an airplane? I mean, of course, he's a pilot, but what was his intention, and what was his motive in him purchasing that? And then tell me how it felt when he did buy it, and the experience that comes after. Take us through that.
I mean, he got his private pilot's license shortly after I got mine. And I've been really, really lucky that I've been able to fly with my dad so much. It's honestly such a privilege to be able to have my dad sat next to me for most of my hour building. It's something that I'll never forget. That moment when we got FSA, it was it was really exciting. And I mean, it's just she was bought, I think, for training purposes because it's so easy to just go to the airfield. We know what condition the aircraft's in. We know who's flown it last. It's literally just me and my dad that fly her. So we know that she's in amazing condition. We know what's going on. And it's a lot cheaper to hour build on your own aircraft versus a school plane. Like right now, we just pay for fuel. We don't, well, and maintenance, but maintenance is like a once every 12 months sort of situation. So yeah, we just end up paying for fuel. So the hourly rate ends up a lot cheaper than flying a school plane.
Oh, interesting. And how does
Yeah.
it work when you have your own plane in this regard? Like, who then measures the hours, and how do you get assist? Like, how does that work? How does
I
the
mean,
billing of the hours
the hours
happen?
are exactly the same as if you're flying a school plane. So the hours still count exactly the same as if you're flying a school plane, and we have to get people to come out and look at her when she needs a service. So it's basically very similar to having a school plane. It's just you more involved in the maintenance than not being involved in it.
Hmm. And how has this improved your flying as well? That you have an aircraft in the family. How much margin can you measure yourself from the former self
Mm-hmm.
into the current you? Like, explain the benefits that you've had, and how you've
Mm.
heavily improved because of that.
I've been more involved in like the maintenance of the aircraft, so it's exposed me to the engine, how the engine works, what the parts are, sort of situation. So, especially for like the aircraft technical and general exam, I learned a lot from the books and I learned a lot from like studying online and stuff. But I learned a lot more from the actual aircraft, like seeing the parts all together. So I think in that respect, it's made me a better pilot because I know how the engine works properly. But also, it's been nice that I've been able to, if there's a good day, the weather's great, I can just go and jump in the plane and go and fly. I don't have to like make a booking online, wait for the booking, then go to the flight school, have to wait for the people to come back with the planes, things like that. So it's been a more easy experience. I just can hop in and go.
Oh, interesting. It's like you're right. I mean, it's as if it's just something natural. I mean, but it is. I mean, because you're already a pilot and
Yeah.
everything. And what was your take when COVID happened? Did it have any influence in your family, as it's a family which is really aviation based? And
Mm.
did it have any effect to your family and you as well? Like, take us through during the time of COVID, and how did it get you thinking and how to diversify in terms of the aviation field as well?
I mean, COVID affected my training a lot. So when COVID happened, I actually wrote my last PPL exam the day before lockdown started. So I finished all my exams like the day lockdown started. And then we had that 2 months where nothing could happen. So yeah, I ended up not flying for a while and then having to get back into it, which was a little bit difficult, but managed to get back into it and got my PPL fairly quickly afterwards. So COVID had an impact on my flight training, as I'm sure it had an impact on a lot of students' flight trainings. So yeah, but it didn't really, it obviously affected my family's businesses and their jobs and everything. Luckily, nobody lost their job and nobody was too badly affected by COVID on our side, which is very good, nice. But yeah, COVID's not nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. So it didn't kind of derail you, or you kept on focused in knowing that. I mean, obviously at some point this is gonna end and everything.
Yeah. But also, I was, when COVID happened, I was going into university exams at the time. So I shifted focus to focusing on university and writing exams and stuff. So I didn't lose track of what was really happening.
Also, it was basically more of like it was timely, in like it was a sequence that made sense because it
Yeah.
has to fall into and work around it, I guess, right?
Yeah, it didn't really feel like anything changed. I sort of just went from flying exams straight into university exams. So it was just like natural continuance of just study, 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 study.
So it's safe to assume that the degree came right before the COVID thing happened. So it was like already a plan in motion, and then this
Yeah,
happened,
so
and then I was like,
I
okay.
decided in matric I wanted to do the degree as well as my private pilot's license. So I started my private pilot's license at 17 while I was still in matric. Very ambitious, focusing on finals and prelims and all sorts of things while navigating a private pilot's license. But I mean, I managed a lot of hard work and I managed to do it. So I decided then in matric that I was going to continue studying and further myself and got into university and just continued with it.
What's this thing with very young pilots? Like they go straight ahead to flight school, and but then you have a different case of it because you're juggling both of the initiators. But I'm thinking, what's this urge that gets young ones just going directly to flying and not dilly dally and waste time? I mean, I'm seeing this like it's like you're being told that if you do not do this in this specific age, you're gonna be screwed up. Like, what happens? Like, is it like the feeling of flying when you're too young? It's so overwhelming that you just want to let it go and just enjoy it, and because this is like I'm doing this for like season 3, and every single
Yeah.
time when I speak to young people, like the youngest, like you just go like it's just it's so funny because it's just like I did my high school and this and that, and then I went straight ahead. I'm just like, what gives you the boldness to just skip like the conventional way of doing things, and then it's like a flying thing? Is it like you become rebellious? Like, what's that
I don't
feeling?
think so. I just think that's how pilots are. I mean, I've actually got instructors who only started their pilot's license later. But yeah, there's a lot of us that started rather young. I honestly don't know why we do it.
So where at your flight school, were you one of the youngest, or how did that go? Like as
I
being
was when I joined my flight school, I was one of the youngest. It was interesting, but I mean, again, I had so much support. My instructors were incredible. They supported me the whole way through. Even when I moved flight schools, my new instructors have been incredible and like supported me with every single thing. So very grateful that there are instructors who are there to support you regardless of what's happening with your career.
So how did it feel to be the youngest? Did it ever have any weight on you, like knowing
It
that?
honestly didn't. Like you sort of felt like you were a part of the family. Like the instructors take you under their wing, they support you, the other students take you under the wing, they help you. So yeah, I had a lot of help with my PPL exams from my boyfriend who worked at the flight school at the time. He spends a lot of time with me teaching me those exams. And even now, like my instructors, they've sat with me and taught me like the comm subjects. So it hasn't really felt like anything. They've been so supportive.
Wow, support galore with
Yeah.
your career as well. A slight caveat.
Mm.
Like every guest, I go to their social media pages just to make sure that I am actually interviewing someone who's doing aviation, and I noticed you have an active TikTok, and you
Oh,
make so many you make so many videos and everything. So let's talk about your life, your social life, in
yeah.
terms of being away from aviation, your hobbies. What exactly makes you take apart from just the RV9? I mean, because we from hearing you, I mean, it's like it's taking all your world. Like take
My
us
my
through
life
your
is
sites.
engulfed by aircraft and university. That's about it. But I mean, I love spending time with my family. I've got two little cousins, and I absolutely adore them. So I love spending time with them. I like reading. So when I get a chance, I spend some time reading. So yeah.
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I saw humor a lot. I'm just like, okay. She has a fun side. Like, I'm like, whoa, okay. It's
Not many
great to.
people know that I have a TikTok. My Instagram's more popular. Instagram's more tame than what's on TikTok.
But then, being quite young, the reason why probably I'm bringing this up is I'm thinking like being young as well. Like, what time do you have to become young? I mean, when you're doing seemingly something that is for grown-ups, quote and unquote, in the
Mm.
sense that it's something that's really big. I mean, I know you fly and it's easy for you, but it's a really big deal. And how do you manage being young, like a normal young person, like when amongst your peers who are just normal peers, and then also having a colleague type of thing where you have people who are in your profession? How do you manage that? Like, do you become awkward, or is like, how do you?
A lot of my friends are in aviation. I have very few friends that aren't in aviation. So they all really understanding, and I have had to make sacrifices. I mean, I wouldn't say aviation is easy and flying is easy. It's a lot of hard work. So I have had to make sacrifices where I've had to sacrifice not going on a family holiday because I've got ground school, or I have to sacrifice not going out to a party because I'm writing an exam the next day, sort of thing. So my friends are very supportive, and they understand because they are in aviation that I can't do everything because I've got other things on my plate.
Awesome. I'm going to interrupt our discussion because there's a question. Yeah, and for our guests, thank you so much for tuning in. And please do use our comment section if you have any questions or anything that you would want Kayla to clarify and so forth. So this question is coming from Vicky Breinhardt, and it's saying, how do you build contacts in aviation?
I am an extrovert. Like I will talk to anybody about anything. So I don't have a fear of going up to people and just speaking to them. And I think that's really important in aviation. You need to be able to speak up. So I've built a lot of my connections through the EAA and through my flight school. So speaking to people at my flight schools, going to aviation events like Sun and Fun and fly-ins at Rhino Park and the RV Day, things like that. You end up speaking to people and building your connections, and also reaching out to people on social media. I mean, LinkedIn, I've reached out to a lot of people who fly for Transmaldivian, and they've been helping me like navigate that process on what's the best way to get in there and fly for them. So yeah, I think it's just taking time and actually speaking to people.
Wow. Yeah. So let's talk more also in the networks you have in more clarity. Like, yeah, let's go through over that because I think it's very important. As Vicky said, um, building a network of valuable people. Like, let's talk about the networks you have and how much difference they have made in your life and so forth.
Well, I mean, the EAA has exposed me to airline captains and ex airline captains and people who have actually made it in the aviation industry. So it's exposed me to that side and exposed me to people who are mentors to me that can coach me on what's the best way forward, how to better myself, how to better my career, things like that. It's exposed me to a lot of amazing people.
Kayla, she's still here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go on.
No, I was done. I was waiting for you.
You done?
disappeared.
No. No. Oh, maybe my network just went a bit fuzzy. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're mentioning something like the last because I think I missed the last bit because it
Mm.
froze my side. So I mean that means I froze. Like
What
the
lost
last
did
thing
you
that you mentioned.
hear?
We're still talking about your connections and how they have like had an impact in your career, like meeting
Yeah.
ex people, ex flights, and all of these things, ex pilots, and all of these things. That's where I
Yeah.
remember last.
They've basically become my mentors and exposed me to the aviation industry and told me like what's the best way forward, what careers options are good, where the charters are good, airlines are good, things like that. So they basically just exposed me to all the different sectors within the aviation industry.
Hmm, interesting. And Vicky's back again. Where would you say is the best place to start in the aviation industry at the moment?
You know what? I don't think that any one route within the aviation industry is the best route forward. There are hundreds of incredible flight schools across South Africa. So do your own research, go to the flight schools, see the aircraft, meet the instructors, um, go for a flight around the airspace with an instructor, get a feel for the kind of environment that you're going to be training in. If you want a more structured environment, look at a flight school that operates at a controlled airport like Rand. If you want a little bit less of a structured environment where you've got a bit more freedom, you could look at an uncontrolled airfield like where I fly from Panorama. So there's hundreds of options for what you're looking for. And at the end of the day, the place that I think is the best isn't going to be the best for you. Your place might be somewhere else, and it's all 100% about your level of comfort at that flight school. Even things like how far you are away from the airfield can be another factor that influences your choice on where you start your aviation career. Because I mean, nobody wants to be driving 2 hours to Wonderboom every day if they live in Boksburg and you've got Rand Airport right around the corner.
Oh, interesting. So, what do you do in terms of assessing the best air flight school for your license? Like one of the things that we do as Flight Wings Aviation is basically provide consultancy, and
Mm.
for someone who's starting over and who's starting, like, how do you decide this is the best flight school for me? Not necessarily using your template, but then ideas like what do you look into, like how do you look at and say, okay, fine, this could be the school that I need to go to. Like, any pointers, and how do you do that?
You know, I would speak to students who are at the flight school at the moment because they are going to be the best indicators to you what the actual flight school environment is like. Because when you walk into the flight school as a fresh student, the instructors are enthusiastic, they all want to grab you up. And then by the time your PPL is finished, they're like, okay, we're done with you. So the best indication would be to speak to students at the flight school who can give you an honest opinion of what the flight school is like. But
Oh,
again,
interesting.
you need to make the decision yourself.
Oh, awesome. Oh, Vicky again. Vicky saying that what would you suggest is the best thing to do if you don't have enough money to do your training? Yes. How did you do it? I mean, how did you do it? Like,
I've
in
been
terms of
very
the
lucky
finance and
that
everything. Like,
I've been incredibly lucky that my parents have sacrificed so much for me. I mean, my brothers had to make sacrifices, my parents have made sacrifices, family has made sacrifices for me to be able to do this and follow my dream. And I'm pretty sure that when my brother's ready to chase his dream and I'm working, I'm going to have to sacrifice as well to help him because he sacrificed to help me. So I've been very lucky that my parents have been able to do this for me. But the best thing that I would say for not having enough money is try and maybe find a job because bursaries at the moment are so few and far between. I mean, the CAA is not even offering a bursary anymore. But you can also try and speak to your flight school. Your flight school might be able to arrange a payback plan for you. So, yeah, I don't really have experience in not having the money to do the flight training. But, yeah, from what I've heard from my friends, it's find a job and pay your way through slowly.
awesome, awesome. As you're getting closer to the end, which is sad, um, let's let's talk about like where you see the future of aviation going to.
Mm,
Africa specifically, or maybe South Africa to begin with, and the world at large. But before you answer
yeah.
me, Vicky has a last question. Okay.
He
Airbus or
knows the
Boeing?
answer to this as well.
Okay.
He knows
Airbus
what
or
the answer
Boeing?
to this is.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, some people. I think it will be very good to other people who are watching who have no apparent idea. I mean, yeah. So
I
last
know what
question for
his
Vicky.
answer is. His answer is Boeing, and it's a fight between us. And my answer is Airbus. But yeah, him and I
Oh,
are at
so
odds
this is
about
an
Airbus or
animated debate
Boeing.
already. This is
Yeah,
World War III waiting to happen.
yeah.
Okay, so I will squash it right now. I've squashed it. Airbus, he's Boeing. That's it. Boom. Done. All right, cool.
Airbus,
So
exactly.
all right, cool. So yes, I was all saying that. Like, let's focus a little bit about the future. Where do you think the future of aviation is going to, Africa wise? So Africa probably because that's where you're based, and the world at large. What's your take?
This whole COVID thing has sort of shaked everything up, and airlines are not the be all and end all anymore. So I definitely see aviation moving more into smaller aircraft, like almost charter situation. But honestly, aviation is so changeable. So cannot say that one thing's going to happen because everyday aviation is changing.
True, 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 true.
Mm.
Anyways, it was a great pleasure, always.
Thank you for having me.
Having an animated discussion with someone who's so intelligent, who's a pilot, and all of these things. Great. So, one of our mantra is empower, and
Mm.
we aim to empower the grassroots to influence the next generation of amazing pilots, as we believe.
Yeah.
And let's say you're given an opportunity to address the young people, probably 9 year olds or 10 year olds. What would you tell them about being a pilot, and how would you motivate them, and how would you build them up?
So
Your 10 seconds
there's
start now.
um there's a quote that I really love that says, "Your wings already exist. All you have to do is fly." And I think it's so appropriate for this situation. Like, you have it in you to be a pilot. You just need to go out there, work hard, sacrifice, and make that active decision that this is what I want to do. And honestly, anyone can be a pilot. You just have to have that motivation, that passion to be a pilot. And I know there's this big debate that pilots make lots of money, but I mean, going into the aviation industry, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because this is what I love. So I definitely don't say go into it because you're going to make lots of money, because you probably aren't. But yeah, just go for it.
Oh, interesting. Thank you so much, Madam Kayla.
Thank
Um,
you.
your words are wise. I like that statement. You already have wings. How did you say it again?
Your
You already
wings
have.
already exist. All you have to do is fly.
All you have to do is fly. I'm imagining myself over some cliff, and then I'm just like, oh, let me fly, and then, and then I crash.
As long as you take a parachute or paraglider with, you'll be fine.
Awesome. But anyways, thank you so much, um, for being part of the show. And
Thank you for having me.
at this very point, I want to thank our viewers for watching. And you've been great. Vicky has been great with all the questions. And at the very end of the show, I probably usually like rolling the red carpet to my guests so that they can tell us what they are doing right now and how people can support them and where they can follow them and where they can see their journey. So, in that regard, I'm rolling the red carpet to you. Tell us, what have you been up to and what are you looking into and how can people support you?
So obviously you mentioned I got an active TikTok. That's where my little funny side comes out. Then I've got Instagram as well, and I've got a YouTube channel, which I don't think anybody really knows of, and Facebook as well. So if they want to see my journey, I'm active on all three platforms, and they can go and follow and have a look.
Awesome. So they just type Kayla Mel.
Yeah. So it's Kayla
Awesome.
Milne on Facebook and on Instagram. On TikTok, I think it's Kayla7M. And then YouTube is also just Kayla Milne.
Awesome. Go ahead and support Miss Kayla. And as well, check us on our Instagram page, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, wherever it is, please do support. And please tell us if you do have any, to our viewers, if you do have any one person that you love in aviation and you think it would be incredible to interview that person as well. We take up those requests as well. You just DM us on Instagram or visit our website and send us an email, and we'll definitely reach out to that person. So in that regard, I was the host of the show, and I am still the host of the show, Isaac Yami, and my guest, Kayla. Thank you so much, and see you in the skies, I guess. And
Thank you for
yeah,
having me.
awesome. So to everyone from the Fly Aviation team, the Big Sky, it is bye for now.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.